Hi guys, welcome to Defending Elvis Presley. Um, for me, a special thing has happened. I received it yesterday. Um, duh, 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 Paradise, Susanna style. So Susanna Lee, her daughter Natalia has sent me her book, and she's even signed it. So we've got Natalia Lee, Susanna's daughter has even signed the book, which I love. It basically says, "Thank you for defending Elvis. I hope you enjoy the stories, kindness always." So I want to read a little bit of this. It looks like a beautiful book, guys. Paradise Susanna style. Obviously, Susanna Lee, Elvis's co-star, but more than that, this is a great actress that has had experiences through her career that you can only dream of. Yeah, she's worked with the best people, many well-known people, many well-known British actors as well. Her dream was always to do a film with Elvis Presley. It was her dream. She made that dream happen through her own actions. She wasn't supposed to get this role. Her own determination and her guts, her courage, and just her drive got her that role. It's an interesting story just how she managed to speak to Hal Wallace. She really went out of her way to speak to Hal Wallace. And the role had already been given to somebody else. They were just about to sign the contracts. Susanna, being the kind of person that she is, was going to make it happen. And if you look back on Susanna's life, she had a very difficult childhood, very difficult, a very, how can I say it? She really struggled in her childhood. But she fought through it. And her way of forgetting about just how tough her childhood was to have this dream world of becoming this glamorous actress around the world. Yeah. And she really did make her life. She made her own luck. She stuck her neck out, took a chance many times. She rose above the cruelness of the life that she had as a very young girl. So I'm so impressed with Susanna Lee. I've watched loads of her interviews. Her daughter is lovely, Natalia Lee. Her daughter clearly loves her. Her mum is very, very proud of her mum, and I don't blame her. So how did I stumble across Susanna Lee? Now, I'm so grateful to Natalia for sending me this book, and we're going to start reading it. And guys, I recommend you buy it. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. She also sent me this lovely card as well. Elvis Presley, True Love. Susanna Lee really did adore Elvis. She really became a good friend of his, loved working with him, said he was 100% one of the kindest people she ever worked with. Elvis was amazing. She many times defended Elvis. This is where I got interested in Susanna Lee. Obviously, I watched the movies just like we all did. 100% I'd heard of Susanna Lee and seen her in many other things as I was growing up as a child through the 70s. So when I stumbled across Susanna Lee defending Elvis against David Stanley when he was on the Wogan show, it blew me away. Now, I knew about this, 6 months ago. But recently we decided to discuss the Stanleys, Ricky and David, who I think in the past have said some pretty horrendous things about their stepbrother. I'm not here to trash the Stanleys. I'm here to boast and proudly talk about Susanna Lee. That's why I'm here. So when I started doing the David Stanley topic, I wanted to show where Susanna Lee steps in and defends Elvis, the man she adored, but not just that. The man that she grew to know. She understood he wasn't well. He was sick. He had told her that he felt that he may have colon cancer. He had told her he needed his prescription medication because he was in a lot of pain sometimes. So she knew the real Elvis. She understood why he needed his doctors, his nurses, his prescription medication. He wasn't just some junkie. the problem we've got with David Stanley is that he is talking about Elvis like Elvis just wanted to get stoned, get high at first. But then Susanna Lee jumps in and defends Elvis and completely changes the course of the conversation, the interview she was having with Terry Wogan. Okay, guys, so this grabbed my attention. A real true defender of Elvis. She was never asked to defend him. She defended him because she wanted to. She defended him because she knew him, got to know him, worked with him, knew the real Elvis, the true Elvis that we want the whole world to know. So let's just play a few bits, give you an understanding of how amazing Susanna Lee is. So I'm very proud to discuss Susanna Lee, and I will be sending this to her daughter, Natalia Lee. Natalia Lee has a fantastic Facebook page that proudly talks about her mother. There's a couple of Facebook pages for Susanna Lee. She really does deserve all the credit she gets. I'm so proud to even talk about Susanna to her own daughter, Natalia. Okay, guys, so let's play a few bits. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to play some videos, discuss things. Then we're going to do a live stream on the same topic. Okay, I'll post this to my video channel. Every day now, I'm doing one video to my YouTube channel, Defending Elvis, on the video section. And then we go live, and then we can actually discuss it as fans of Elvis, fans of Susanna Lee. Okay, guys? So let's play a few videos.
Maybe better cool it, huh?
1 second, guys. Hang on. So I'm going to press play, and I'm going to make my coffee. Let me just make sure you guys can see it. And then we're going to come back.
Is this any way to run an airline?
It's Elvis, Hawaiian style, running wild, as a copter flyboy with more co-pilots than he can handle.
All right, girls. Follow me inside and I'll check out your qualifications.
Where'd you put the ad in, Playboy?
Good timing, guys. So yeah, obviously Paradise Hawaii, the trailer, a brilliant film, a lovely film. I think some of these films that are quite sort of quirky and fun and very happy are underrated, because for me personally, watching these films as a child, you know, all the way through the 70s and even the early 80s, I know they were reruns in the UK on Saturday afternoons. These films really mesmerized me, helped me fall in love even deeper with Elvis. I loved the way he was, the way he looked, dressed, moved, sang. His personality really came through. And I honestly, guys, people try to trash some of these films. I don't agree. I think they were a breath of fresh air, like sunshine in a bottle. You know, I love these films, and many of the songs in the so-called cheesy films, I love them. I love them. I think most fans do. So I actually love Elvis's films. Yes, of course, we love Jailhouse Rock, King Creole, the films where the acting is a bit more serious. But I love this frivolous, just fun films. Changed my life. I couldn't wait to watch them. Me and my twin brother at home with my kids in the 70s and 80s. We couldn't wait to get home and watch these Elvis reruns. We love them. This guy's just beautiful. Could you imagine being there, seriously, being in Hawaii, being part of that movie set? Amazing. And we know Elvis loved Hawaii.
If ever I wonder if ever we're apart.
And I know even Lisa Marie loved Hawaii.
I know that you will lead me home.
See, just watching this takes me back to the 70s, sat at home with my family, my mum and dad, my brothers and sisters. Just takes me back. I love it. I wish I could go back.
Elvis, flying high, bringing you a new kind of romance as he soars his way over all the islands in the glorious Hawaiian archipelago, singing and loving his way to Paradise Hawaiian Style. Elvis, the
There she is, guys. There's Susanna.
flyboy from the mainland, and he's after every wahine in sight, from the blonde Malahinis to the Maoli girls of all Polynesia, but certainly not all at the same time.
Is this any way to run an airline?
Maybe you better cool it, huh?
Now look,
Natalia. There's Mum.
I ain't leaving until I get my steak. Baby, we
Your
just have
steak.
a good time.
Rare.
Oh, I love that. So Susanna doesn't know what to do.
Is this any way to run an airline?
Don't start.
So, guys, I can't play too much music because YouTube, unfortunately, copyright it. But we get a glimpse of Susanna there. So let's go back to where this all started for us as a Defending Elvis channel. Let's listen to Susanna defend her friend Elvis. It's here on my history. I watched it just now. I'm just so proud of Susanna, and I completely understand why Natalia Leigh, her daughter, who sent me this book, is how can I say it? Beaming with pride for her lovely mother, Susanna Lee. Right, are we ready, guys? Let me just...
Now, finally,
So Terry Wogan, it says here 1987. I'm a big fan of Terry Wogan. He's a British interviewer, but I think he was known around the world. He's done some massive interviews, including with Priscilla Presley and many other people. So let's have a little listen to this. I'm just going to grab my coffee quickly. Guys, in a minute, you are going to see a very special moment where Susanna Lee defends her friend Elvis Presley.
someone who grew up with Elvis as a child at Gracelands and who was, for the last 5 years of his life, Elvis's companion and bodyguard. So welcome, Elvis's stepbrother, David Stanley. Can I ask you, what's your reaction to impersonators like Big
I think
Jim?
it's interesting. I think he was very good, but I liked what he said when he said he leaves the stage and he's Big Jim. When he comes out and does his performance, he does an impersonation, and that's good, but to take it home with you, I think, is a little strange.
You saw Elvis at Las Vegas yourself, didn't you, Susanna?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, we think Big Jim looks very like him. It sounds like him. I mean, was that the way he was on stage?
Well, on stage, I think, I mean, Elvis is, how can I tell you, Elvis? But I mean, when Elvis...
Right, just 1 second. How can I tell you what Elvis is like? Meaning you're his stepbrother, you grew up with him, which David did. Obviously, we know about the Stanleys, Billy, David, and Ricky, who did adore Elvis. Elvis loved the three brothers, yeah? Dee Stanley's kids. Dee Stanley married Vernon, okay? Complicated. We could talk about it all day. We're not big fans of Dee here. We have issues about her behaviour concerning Elvis, but that's a separate matter. I'm going through a little phase at the moment where I'm discussing how unfair some people that were very close to Elvis spoke about Elvis. Even people that were his cousins or stepbrother or ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, many other people, yeah, the Memphis Mafia. Now, whilst we were discussing the people that have been unkind to Elvis with their words, sharing details that I feel should have been kept private. Elvis would have wanted these people to keep things private, whether they're true or not. Elvis would be horrified at some of the things that people close to him in his life that he trusted, that was very good to, have said things that just, in my opinion, just completely betrayed him. but they also go on to say how much they love him, which I do believe they do. I do believe that many of the people that trashed Elvis also love him. It's very awkward. It's a real dilemma for me running a channel called Defending Elvis. I get no pleasure when I discuss these kind of topics, but I feel Elvis deserves it. I feel Elvis deserves to be defended. Now, I don't really want to go into it too much where I come across as if I'm attacking people. I don't want to do that. I want to try and understand why so many people so close to him betrayed Elvis and shared details that I think should have been kept very private. I know that money is a big factor. Money made many of these people make decisions that harmed Elvis's image and reputation, and in the long term, his legacy. Elvis's reputation is pretty damaged. Now, we also know that Elvis has an amazing reputation when it comes to his music and how he looked and his talent. But then when we talk about Elvis personally as a human being, his reputation is so far from the truth. Elvis, a good Christian man who lived a good life, who really wanted to help people who had a lot of major chronic health problems through his life, unfairly portrayed as some kind of drug addict. Almost no mention of how sick Elvis was, which I think is so unfair to Elvis. Also, people portray Elvis as if all he was interested in was just shagging, grabbing the next girl. That isn't true, guys. That isn't true. Yes, of course, Elvis was a man, and through his teens and 20s and 30s, of course, he wanted a partner. He liked girls, of course. But there was so much more to Elvis than the way he's portrayed. It's very unfair. Very unfair. Elvis was a musical genius. Yeah. He literally changed the world. Yeah. And still impacts the world today. So Suzanne, who I can tell can't believe that she managed to get to know Elvis, made a movie with Elvis, nearly made a second movie with Elvis, but her and Colonel Tom Parker didn't see eye to eye. Someone mentioned that because Susanna Lee knew many of the very famous people, even in England, of course, because she's from England, wanted to introduce Elvis to these really credible, serious actors, like people like Michael Caine, people like that, that Colonel Tom Parker didn't like it. So in the end, chose somebody else to make the next movie instead of her, which is so disappointing. And I know it disappointed her as well. But she never forgot her time with Elvis, and she always was there for Elvis. So when you see David Stanley being interviewed and he starts to go down the road of let's talk about Elvis and all his drug problems, almost no mention of him being sick until Susanna jumps in and changes the course of this interview. Now, everything I say in this show is for entertainment purposes, just opinions, not facts. We're just having a discussion on video about my opinions and your opinions, because I do want you guys to please leave your opinions in the comments, because this is a joint discussion. Yeah. She sat there. She sat with David Stanley, expecting him to praise Elvis, his stepbrother. David Stanley grew up with Elvis for 17 years. You wouldn't expect a stepbrother of Elvis. Remember, Elvis was so good to the three brothers, really good, like completely transformed their lives, took them out of poverty. So Elvis deserved better. There shouldn't be, in my opinion, there shouldn't be one word coming out of Ricky or David Stanley's mouth that is negative towards Elvis, even if it's true. Yeah, it's not fair to use Elvis's name in the name of drugs, drug rehabilitation, yeah, preventing other people abusing drugs or having drug problems. It's not fair to use his name to do that for money, So I think Susanna Lee is expecting David Stanley to say good things about his stepbrother Elvis. You can also see Jules Holland here. If you look at this picture here, Jules Holland, I think, also is very surprised that David Stanley is saying these negative things. So I was not expecting it, but watching this interview, Susanna Lee, you could tell she's a very smart lady. And she isn't going to let David Stanley trash her friend, her good friend, who she loved, admired, and knew the truth about, trash him on TV in front of tens of millions of people. Remember, this Wogan show was watched by tens of millions of people. She was going to change the course of this interview, and this is why she is my hero. Susanna Lee is my hero. I'm so proud of her. And of course, Natalia Leigh is very proud of her, and I don't blame her. Now let's watch history in the making.
Elvis went on stage in Vegas. It was a big thing. I mean, his first night, everybody was there. If you weren't on his first night, I mean, you weren't anybody. But also, when he did this kneel down business, and when he used to raise that, when he used to raise those that cape. And what did the Colonel used to say? It was the cheapest light show in town, because, I mean, for 15 minutes, there'd just be a barrage of lights, wasn't it? Something incredible. And, I mean, you knew you were there, not just at anybody's show. I mean, EP was really big news, man. I mean,
You call him EP?
So, right, remember that Susanna Lee has a massive beaming smile on her face while she talks about Elvis. She was overwhelmed just how amazing Elvis was live, but also how humble and lovely he was as a human being. And she understood Elvis wasn't well. So she's there to only praise Elvis. She's so proud of the fact that she was in the movie Paradise Hawaii, that she got to be friends with Elvis, a life dream of hers. So let's watch the interview with Terry Wogan. I'm a big fan of Terry Wogan.
I just called him Elvis or
Yes.
Boss.
Or Sir.
But several of his friends called him EP.
Yeah.
What was it? You grew up in Graceland because Elvis's father married your
My mother, right.
Your mother.
Now remember, guys, David's mother said some disgusting things about Elvis. D. Stanley. That's a different topic, but let's keep going.
That makes you his stepbrother.
That's correct.
So you grew up in Graceland. What was it like growing up there?
It was a lot of fun. You know, the early years, I moved in '60 and I was only 4 years old, so.
So just quickly, remember, from what my research says, is that they were in an orphanage, and Elvis was a big part of the reason they were taken out of this orphanage. If I've got my facts wrong, I apologize, but that is the research that I've uncovered discussing the three Stanley brothers. Let's keep going. Remember, they were taken out of the orphanage and taken to Gracelands. Could you imagine how amazing that was? They struggled as children. They were very young. I think it's 4, 6, and 7. Elvis knew they were coming. Elvis wanted them to feel welcome. Elvis always wanted a brother, and he had 3 coming. He was going to make sure these boys were brought up properly and loved, were introduced to the Bible, to Jesus. He would pray with them. They were very special to him. Yeah. I know there was a love between the 3 brothers and Elvis, and it worked both ways. Elvis did love these 3 boys. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, on 14 acres of land in a big, beautiful home like that, you could imagine what it was like. We did a lot of horseback riding. We raced go-karts. We snowmobiled. Elvis was.
You imagine that, guys. You imagine the life they went from, the orphanage. They're doing horseback riding, riding go-karts at Gracelands.
Just a big kid. He liked to have a lot of fun, you know, and he had the money to do it.
Right.
And as a child growing up, I was, you know, fortunate enough to be a part of that.
Yeah. When did you first realize?
I like that. Fortunate enough to be part of that. Remember, their brother was Elvis Presley, the most famous man on the planet. A lovely, caring, fun man. Very, very generous. He showered them with gifts. He made sure they had a good education at school and with the Bible.
Well, how old were you when you realized he was, in fact, Elvis Presley, the star?
I realized it when I was about 6 or 7, but it really hit home when I was 15 in Las Vegas. As she was saying, everybody who was at the first concert, and fortunately enough, I was there as a family member. Elvis came out in '69 at the International Hilton Hotel, now the Hilton Hotel. When he walked out on that stage, I was 14 years old. I'd been a part of the pop culture. The Beatles had been over. I loved the Beatles. And
so as far as I know, David Stanley, even now, is still a resident at this same hotel. It's got a different name. Is it Westgate Hotel? David Stanley has gone on to spend his life making money from Elvis's name, from the fact that he grew up with Elvis. He's benefited massively from knowing Elvis in every way, still is now to this day. So me as a defender of Elvis with Team Elvis, remember, I don't defend alone, I defend with a team called Team Elvis. I defend with Elvis fans. I don't expect one word to come out of this man's mouth that makes Elvis look bad. Because why? Who trashes their own brother? Who trashes their own family? For money. For money. So I don't mean to upset people, guys, but that's how I feel.
And Elvis Presley, he's my brother, but come on, is he going to come out here?
It's really heavy, that now.
Yeah, you're going to come
what
out
a
and...
smart number to say, Eve, he was my brother. Oh, wow. I mean,
well, I like the name drop every now and then.
David was very, very lucky that Elvis was his stepbrother. It was literally a miracle. A miracle happened to that man and his two brothers, and to Dee Stanley.
Anyway, he walked out on stage. I'm 14 years old, and I'm up with Led Zeppelin, Crosby, Stills and Nash, the Beatles. Elvis comes out and just blows me away.
That's right.
Just incredible. The guy was in a class of his own. After the concert, I'm backstage and I'm talking to him, and I said, Elvis, wow, that's incredible. He said, hey, that's why they call me the king of rock and roll.
That's right.
See, this is great, and I wish the conversation carried on like this. Let's keep going.
You know, he says, who else can do it? And I'm going, hey, this don't get too egotistic. He said, hey, I'm the king of rock and roll. So, he could say it.
Yeah, no argument.
No, I didn't argue after that. He had his seal of approval for me for what it was worth.
Yeah. You joined his entourage when you were very young.
1972. I was 16 years old.
Now, that must have been, if we can get to something a little bit more serious, that couldn't have been good for a boy that young, could it?
It was good for me.
Well, yeah, because you had a lot of fun.
My mother was very upset. Son, please don't go. Please don't go. But Elvis could talk you into anything, right?
Absolutely.
Steady,
It's quite
Susanna.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Careful.
no. Oh, no. I was absolutely quite shocked that out of all the leading men I'd ever starred opposite, or well, you didn't star with Elvis. I mean, you co-starred with Elvis. Elvis was starred.
I love this, guys. She's so beautiful. Susanna is a stunning lady and very smart.
Of course, but I mean, he never actually tried to pull me, chat me up. One day I said to him,
What's the matter with me?
yeah, I mean, don't you fancy me or anything? I mean, everybody, so he said, listen, baby, I mean, I said, I know you're being faithful to Priscilla and all that sort of thing. He said, oh, no, baby, I mean, I respect you and Priscilla far too much for anything like that. I went, oh. I have to think about that one. I had to go away and think about that. I was really serious. And I read in the paper the other day that, in fact, apparently he only slept with Priscilla once. So, I mean, I was pretty good.
The Priscilla story is complicated, guys. Remember, Priscilla twice was unfaithful during the marriage. So it isn't straightforward, guys. There's much more to it.
But you were there throughout the good times and the bad. For a young man as part of the entourage, because there were drugs.
It got difficult.
Elvis was one of the least drug takers. I mean, in the 60s when I was there, if you don't mind me butting in, I mean, my goodness.
Guys, I'm going to rewind that bit. Remember, Terry Wogan, obviously, an interviewer, wants to bring up the negative stuff. They all do. But David really wants to talk about it. This is a green light. This is right. Okay, here goes. Now you watch for Susanna Lee to jump in and defend Elvis. She almost doesn't give David a chance. This is why I'm so proud of Susanna Lee.
And as part of the entourage, because there were drugs.
It got difficult.
Elvis was one of the least drug takers. I mean, in the 60s when I was there, if you don't mind me butting in, I mean, my goodness, I mean, Elvis really.
If you don't mind me butting in, guys. Woohoo! She deserves a medal for this.
I mean, no way.
Well, anyway, 1970.
What about in the 70s?
In 1972, Elvis was very hot. His concerts were unbelievable throughout the States.
Yeah.
But in 1974 and 75, there was a slow decline physically.
Here goes. Now, there's no need to say any of this. No need at all. If other people that are not related to Elvis want to say negative stuff, there's not much we can do about it. But when family, whether it be cousins, stepbrothers, ex-wife, Memphis Mafia, people that were like family to Elvis, start telling the world, telling millions of people about the problems Elvis had with his prescription medication, with abuse of prescription medication, maybe even with addiction of prescription medication, with almost not a word about the fact that he had been sick for years. We know, we've been reading the books. Elvis was sick. If you go by this book, Sally Hodder's book, Destined to Die Young, Elvis had been sick since he was a child. Go by this book, from 67 onwards, he had been sick for the last 10 years of his life. No mention of it until Susanna jumps in and has her say. And this is why I'm so disappointed with these people, that they are family. Since when is it okay for family to trust family for money, for fame, so they can get on these kind of TV shows? It's wrong. It's wrong. We can't ignore it like it never happened. This is why I'm so proud of Susanna Lee, the way she defends Elvis. You know, I'm so proud of this lady. I wish many more people defended Elvis like this lady does, Susanna Lee, this amazing human being. She had no reason to defend Elvis other than the fact that she liked him. She knew him. She got to know him. She worked with him. She defended him because she wanted to. There was no money here. She could have joined in on the negative conversation and insulted Elvis by going into detail about his problem with prescription medication. I personally think Dave talks about it as if Elvis was some kind of junkie that wanted to get high. I don't think he mentions Elvis being sick until Susanna changed the course of the conversation. Now, this is just my opinion, guys, for entertainment purposes, not a fact. This is a discussion show. That's how I feel.
And because of his grueling schedule on tour, he got involved in medication prescribed by physicians. And he would take 1 or 2 to sleep, 1 or 2 to wake up, which was fine with a grueling schedule like Presley had. But because of a physician who felt that there was money to be made, instead of pulling him back, he gave him more and more and more. Use went to abuse. And again, the physician didn't take the care or the time to say, Elvis, you need to back off, you need to slow down. Instead, more and more and more. And it's been written, it's no big surprise that Elvis got involved in heavy drugs, some 5,000.
So this is where it just takes a horrible turn. This is a stepbrother. Remember how kind Elvis was to his family, to his friends, to everyone he knew, to complete strangers. To anyone Elvis came into contact with, how kind and lovely and sharing and caring he was. And this is the thanks he gets.
1,000 pills prescribed 6 months before he died. Now, no one needs that type of medication, but here was a big surprise that Elvis got involved in heavy.
So he says, and he was prescribed, I think he even says 10,000 pills. It's a joke, guys. The pills were not for Elvis. Anyone that does basic research knows that it wasn't 10,000 pills for Elvis, but listen to it, guys.
Heavy drugs, some 5,000 pills prescribed 6 months before he died. Now, no one needs that.
So I think it was 5,000, but come on. Is there any need for that
type of medication? But here was a doctor who saw a gold mine and took advantage of it. And Elvis, who had become somewhat addicted, justified the fact that he was taking drugs by his name.
So look, I can see he wants to blame the doctor, trash the doctor. He probably doesn't like Dr. Nick. The Dr. Nick story is very complicated. Yeah, it's not straightforward. Dr. Nick did love Elvis, but he did make mistakes. There was money situations that went on between Elvis and Dr. Nick, which is very worrying, very concerning. But Elvis needed a doctor. He needed his doctors. He was very sick. He was desperate. He was in pain. He couldn't sleep. He had serious colon problems, heart problems, liver problems. He was very unwell. Of course, he turned to his doctors for help. Of course he did. Yeah? He had no choice. This is why Elvis steadily was increasing his medication and got more unwell as, yes, Elvis may have abused them, may have self-medicated sometimes, may have been addicted to some of them, but he was sick and in pain. He couldn't sleep. Could you imagine the pain Elvis was in, and overworked as well?
And being on the bottle. He would catch me at that time. I was heavily involved in drugs. David, if you do that, you're off this hill. David, if I catch you ever do that again, I'm going to fire you. You'll never come around again. But yet, he could take it because justification was, this has been prescribed to me. Elvis was a victim of circumstance, and he had...
So in a minute, Susanna's going to jump in and defend Elvis. Now, you know, Dave has just admitted he had a serious problem with drugs at this time. So his memory of that time is as a young man who was heavily on drugs, heroin, cocaine. Yeah? But all of a sudden, his memory is crystal clear. Now let's listen to see how Susanna Lee changes the conversation.
A little boy trust in doctors that ultimately took his life.
But he also believed that he had a very bad illness, because he told me he had a very bad illness, and that was covered by drugs. And maybe the doctors told him he had a very bad illness. I mean, I remember 10 years ago when he died, I spent 3 hours on all networks all over the thing, and I was convinced, mainly because he was convinced, that he had cancer of the colon.
That is true. That is true.
Thank you. Now that is a hero. This woman should be awarded a medal for doing what she's done. Now, Dave Stanley now will completely change the whole tone of the interview and starts to praise his stepbrother, which is what he should have done. What he should have done. And you see a big smile on Susanna Lee's face because she achieved her goal. She was not going to let David Stanley, Elvis's stepbrother, trash him on national TV in front of tens of millions of people without sticking up for her friend. A good friend sticks up for you. A good friend sticks up for you. A good family member will never trash you, whether you're alive or not, whether you're famous or not, whether it's true or not. This is David's mistake. And yes, he's gone on to portray himself as this stepbrother that knows everything and knows better because he grew up with him, grew up with Elvis, was at Memphis. More reason to not trash him, more reason to have given him more respect, to have kept his dignity, to have kept things that should have been kept private to himself. So I'm so proud of Susanna Lee, so proud. I'll just play a little bit more, then I'm going to read a small section from this book. We're going to do another part to this because there's much more to it. But I just want to really thank Natalia Leigh for sending me the book. We are going to start reading it with you guys. Please buy the book, Paradise Susanna Style. There are loads of amazing interviews with Susanna Lee. I've watched loads of them. I love her interviews. She truly is an Elvis fan to her heart. She's been involved with many Elvis projects. Yeah, she's so lovely, so lovely. I'm so proud of this lady. I never met her. I would love to have met Susanna Lee. She's fantastic. I'm going to play her defending Elvis. I'll let it play on for a minute. Then we're going to read a small part of this book. Then I'm going to have to go. And then we're going to do a live stream praising Susanna Lee.
And that was covered by drugs.
And doctors that ultimately took his life.
But he also believed that he had a very bad illness, because he told me he had a very bad illness, and that was covered by drugs. And maybe the doctors told him he had a very bad illness. I mean, I remember 10 years ago when he died, I spent 3 hours on all networks all over the thing, and I was convinced, mainly because he was convinced, that he had cancer of the colon.
That is true. That is true. Elvis was in a tremendous amount of pain at the end of his life. And his schedule, you just can't imagine. You know, like most rock and rollers go out and do a show, off a week, off 2 days, off at least a day. Elvis was out every single night, 21-day tours, off a week, another 21-day tour. And it was physically wearing him down. And
see, now he's trying to undo what he started to do 1 minute earlier. You watch.
And there is talk and proof now that Elvis had some colon cancer and was in a great deal of pain, and yet he would never slow down, and he would continue to push on, and because he loved to make people happy.
That's right.
I loved what you said about the smile.
Now remember, there was no mention of Elvis being sick. No mention until Susanna brings it up. All of a sudden, the prescription medication was needed because Elvis was unwell. Susanna changed the course of history. This interview would have been watched by millions, and it would have put doubt in people's mind. It would have made people think, oh, maybe Elvis was sick. Maybe he did need his prescription medication. This is why I love this. I wonder how that interview would have gone if Susanna was not there. If Susanna was not there, it would have been completely different. It would have been a trashing of Elvis, because Dave Stanley has gone on to trash Elvis again and again and again. Yes, he also talks about the beautiful stories of growing up with Elvis. Me as a fan, I feel that David Stanley should never have trashed Elvis, ever. In the name of drug addiction, Elvis's name is used negatively again and again and again, and I think it's wrong. Don't agree with it. Now, I don't do this defending from hate or from anger. I do it because I literally can't believe that Elvis has had to, his image and reputation. What's happened to his image and reputation around the world because of things like this. I'm so grateful to people like Susanna that have gone out of their way for no reason, for no gain, not for money, to protect the reputation of her dear friend Elvis Presley, who she adored. Yeah. So thank you, Susanna Lee. I'll just play a little bit more. You will see that Dave now completely changes the tone of the interview.
On someone's face. It couldn't have been said better. And he loved to do that to the fans. He may not be able to give something physically to him, but he gave himself.
Oh, yes.
And the people,
the
voice and the smile was on the face, and that made
Do you
him
have any
happy.
recollections?
And you can hear Susanna in the background, oh yes, and that voice, and then she has this beautiful smile on her face. And you got Jules Holland here, who I can tell is horrified by the things that Dave Stanley had started to say.
Of Graceland's, it must have been a horrific place.
It was beautiful.
But after he died, beautiful certainly. But
So again, she jumps in, defends Elvis and Graceland.
after Elvis died, it must have been like a mausoleum, like a morgue.
Well,
you know, Terry Wogan is going to put his negative twist on it, because unfortunately it is expected of interviewers to trash things. But I actually quite like Terry Wogan. Let's keep listening.
at the funeral, when I was at the funeral, it was unbelievable to see the mass amount of people just gathered at the gates. Some 80,000 people came through the house in 2 hours because my stepfather thought it'd be good to open the gates of the Graceland mansion so the people of Memphis could view their favorite son. 80,000 people, 100 ambulance attendants on duty, dragging people from the premises because they were so grief-stricken. Mailbags stacked up 6 and 8 feet high, 14 acres of land covered by flowers from all over the world. It was the most unbelievable thing that I'd ever seen in my life. And the
most unbelievable thing he'd ever seen in his life. That's because the world over loved Elvis. And the reason they loved Elvis is because he touched the whole world. Elvis, the love that Elvis gave out through his personality, his music, just everything about Elvis is still with us now. We still feel the love that Elvis gave out in the 50s, 60s and 70s. It's still with us. It's still with us. I think that's why there's so many fans. So, okay, guys, this has gone on much longer than I expected. So I just want to quickly read a small part of this. I was going to read more, but we've been on longer than I expected. So I'm so pleased that Natalia has sent me this book. I'm proud to own it. She signed it as well, which I just love. So I'm just going to read. There's Chapter 1. We're going to read more of this. The King and I. Imagination is the highest kite one can fly. Wow, love that. And that was said by Lauren Bacall. So Elvis walked into my trailer at Paramount Pictures. This was the last day of Paradise Hawaii Style, the feature film we had been making for the past 3 months. And his limo was waiting outside with the engine running. We couldn't possibly prolong the shoot any longer. The film was already several weeks over scheduled, but we would soon be back in front of cameras together. The thought of parting for 4 months until we started work on our next movie, Easy Come, Easy Go, was depressing. Even more so because of a prediction I had been given just 2 days earlier. Natalie Wood had taken me to see her clairvoyant, Dr. Mary Young, and he informed me that I would be leaving America soon and that Elvis and I would never see each other again. I didn't know that, guys. So she was friends with Natalie Wood. Obviously, Elvis dated Natalie Wood, didn't he? It was a nonsensical prediction. It was a nonsensical prediction. I was about to set up home in Beverly Hills under a 7-year contract with the independent producer Hal Wallace. Elvis, who was also under contract to Hal, had expressly requested me as his leading lady in Easy Come, Easy Go, something he told me he had never done before. This was to be a newly contracted film between Hal and the Colonel so that Elvis and I could work together. The film was to be written specifically for me. So they were going to write a film specifically for Susanna. Working together was the only way Elvis and I could see each other without creating too much gossip. We were already having trouble with the Colonel on one side of Hal and the other. The Colonel, Elvis's rotund and devious manager, Colonel Tom Parker. I can tell that she didn't get on with Colonel Tom Parker. Parker was opposed to our friendship, aggressively so, seeing it as a threat to his power over the king. He had recently planted the total, fabricated and most unpleasant interview with me about Elvis in a magazine in the hope of turning him against me. So it does seem like Colonel Tom Parker ruined things for these two, ruined things. Who knows how things would have gone if they had remained friends. Hal, however, was excited about the publicity that the romance between the two of his stars would engender. He had been pressuring me to cooperate with the Paramount press office, who were keen to suggest to the public that Elvis and I had been doing more than just making a movie in the past 12 weeks. Now, we know that there was no relationship. I had steadfastly refused to exploit my friendship with the man. It was far too precious to me to allow others to introduce Elvis, especially the press agents. Yet Elvis and I were not lovers. For all the physical attraction between us, we had kept our relationship as platonic. He, the brother I wished I had, me, the little sister he'd also longed for. During the last 3 months, Elvis and I opened up to each other in a way that would forever link us by invisible threads, and for that reason I decided it would be foolish to allow a stranger warning to spoil this moment. Elvis took my hand and kissed them. His blue eyes looked deeply into mine, and I knew he was reading my thoughts, something he could do almost at will from the day we met. I saw too that he didn't want to believe what was going through my mind. His face clouded, then suddenly he clasped me to him and kissed me. Incredibly, this was only the second time we had kissed. We had no smooching scenes in the film, but one day in the stills gallery we were goofing around, and one moment and the next he was kissing me. He said at that time, "This won't do your career any harm, baby." The bulbs flashed, and within days a photograph of the kiss was running newspapers throughout the world. Strange that a candid picture of two people kissing could create such enormous interest, but whatever Elvis did was big news. This was different though, and just a tiny moment I hesitated before letting myself be swept into his arms. His kisses held an intensity that melted my very being. I slipped my arms around his neck and our bodies entwined. This was all madness. We didn't stop. A person could go to the gallows with such a kiss lingering on their lips and know that life has been good. Oh, I love that. I love that. A rap on my door. That moment was broken. I had a press conference in an hour's time, and my hairdresser was here. Just a moment, I called out. We slowly parted, gazing into each other's eyes to capture this day in our memory. So they had a bit of a moment, guys. They had a bit of a moment. So I'm going to read more. Things, unfortunately, weren't meant to be. It does seem like Colonel Tom Parker wasn't going to let it happen. So, Susanna Lee, I'm so proud of you. A true Elvis defender. A true Elvis defender from the bottom of our heart. I so wish this woman will be recognised for defending Elvis publicly to tens of millions of people on the Wogan show. And then she went on to honour and praise Elvis for the rest of her life, attending many Elvis events, honouring Elvis. If you go onto YouTube and watch her interviews, she always speaks very highly of Elvis, never trashing him, unlike some of his family members, ex-wife, Memphis Mafia. How many people that were that close to Elvis didn't trash him for money? Not enough. Not enough. We need more people like Susanna Lee who defend Elvis from the love of their heart just because they want to. Not because they get paid or they get attention or because it benefits them. Just because the love is in their heart and they truly love Elvis and they want the world to know the truth. Concerning his medication, he was very sick. He needed his medication. A beautiful man inside and out with a heart of gold. What more can I say? Susanna Lee, thank you so much. And thank you so much to Natalia Lee. You must be very, very proud of your beautiful mother. A stunning lady. A stunning, talented, lovely lady with a heart of gold. Okay, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to do a live stream on it as well, but it took much longer than I was expected, but it doesn't matter. I'm so proud to boast about Susanna Lee. She's had an amazing career, guys. Look up her career. She has had an amazing career. Yeah. So take care, Natalia. I hope you enjoyed this. I do this for you with love. Okay, and your lovely mother. I'm so proud to know you. I would love to have met your mum. I would have loved to meet her. Take care, everyone. So we'll be back for more. Defending Elvis, signing out.